Hi, I'm Robert Berenger. I'm talking with Dr. Brian DeVries about end-of-life conversations and about LGBT aging. One of the things we notice is that there's a different level, it's been talked about, there's different levels of social support and how people cope. And I was just wondering if you could describe that in the LGBT community.
LGBT, the experience of aging, as we've talked about in other contexts, for LGBT people is both similar to many and unique from most. But part of the uniqueness, again, maybe rooted in stigma, has to do with sort of relational status and the history of relationships for LGBT people. For example, through most of the course of their lives, an older LGBT person, really an older lesbian and gay person, have been excluded from the institution of marriage. And as a consequence, older LGBT people, and especially lesbian and gay men, reach later life less likely to be married. That's especially true for gay men. And that has all sorts of implications, not the least of which they also reach later life with a far less likely to have children. So and what we know in social gerontology is that the two primary forms of social support, really the primary forms of caregiving in later life, are spouses and children. Older LGBT people are less likely to have both. As a consequence, they're more likely to turn to formal support, maybe community agencies and healthcare environments, but those are the same agencies that have excluded them early on in their developmental experiences, and so that's fraught with tension, and more likely then to turn to informal sources of support like friends. And we have found in a variety of studies now that LGBT people are much more likely to call upon their friends as caregivers, much more likely to provide support for friends. And so there is a network there, but that too is problematic in that there is no formal role for friends in social institutions. That is to say that in hospitals, it's next of kin who are the ones who are granted access to somebody seriously ill. You get a bereavement leave more typically for next of kin than you do for a friend. And so even though it may be friends rising to the challenge and providing that support, they do so often with the social recognition that matches the heartfelt effort they're providing.